Have you ever played messenger with a piece of information which you had no understanding of the importance of? Maybe you handle official documents at work, or maybe just loose gossip that you pass on. Overhearing Barry at work bragging about an altercation during the lunch hour where he gave Tony a good seeing to in the car park. Going inside and passing this on to colleagues before realising months later that Tony was not only female and Barry's ex-wife's now ex-best friend, but that this seeing to was of an entirely different nature. Yikes. At the turn of the century, in Stepney in East London, there lived a boy called Arthur Bacon. I promise you, his name was Arthur Bacon. I haven't pulled that out of a Roald Dahl book. You know? Arthur Bacon and his amazing talking prosthetic limb. Arthur Bacon lived in Stepney, and he used to run errands for the local residents, messages and odd jobs and what have you. And there was a street called Jubilee Street, and in this street there was a pretty dilapidated block of flats that provided cheap lodgings and was run by a Russian Jew. And he used to occasionally run errands for this place. But one day, while he was involved with this block of flats, he met a big Georgian guy called Mr. 𝐒𝐴𝐕𝐺𝐻. And Mr. 𝐒𝐴𝐕𝐺𝐻 had just arrived from Russia, and he didn't really know much about him, but he started to work by just running errands for him and cleaning out his fireplace and things like that. Now, every day, Mr. 𝐒𝐴𝐕𝐺𝐻 would meet with his fellow countrymen at a church, which is strange enough in itself, run by a Reverend Swan called Church of the Brotherhood. It's a bit further out in the area, but on the days when he wasn't meeting with these guys, he sent Arthur to run messages back and forth to them. Now, no one paid attention to this kind of stuff because in those days in Britain there was enough problems with suffragette movements and the Irish seditionists to be worried about some Russian bookworms. And so on it went, with Arthur running through the streets carrying messages back and forth. Now, Mr. 𝐒𝐴𝐕𝐺𝐻 had only just arrived to the area really, and so he hadn't fully grasped the way the currency worked. And so he was paying Arthur half crowns instead of half pennies, which was kind of the going rate for messages, half pennies. And half crowns was 60 times the amount he should have been paying him. And so Arthur was very, very grateful for getting paid so much. And in return, he would bring him toffees. And Mr. 𝐒𝐴𝐕𝐺𝐻 had never tasted such things back in Georgia. And so he absolutely loved them and developed a sweet tooth. He was addicted to these toffees that Arthur Bacon would run back to him in return for being paid so well. Now, time went on and Mr. 𝐒𝐴𝐕𝐺𝐻 eventually disappeared. And Arthur would look back fondly at his times running errands for the generous Georgian. And he was well into middle age before one day opening the door to a host of media who had uncovered a little known fact that London, without its knowledge, had been hosting a group of communist dissidents who had spent their time in London plotting the overthrow of the Tsar back in Russia, before returning there and doing just that. And the generous Georgian with the bushy moustache, heart of gold and sweet tooth, why, it was none other than the great Joseph Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union and exterminator of over 20 million people. Some tell tales, others... Actually, I've thought of something else. Why is it that dictators always have moustaches? Hitler, Stalin, Saddam Hussein, Margaret Thatcher? Oh no, she wasn't a dictator. Some tell tales, others rhyme, but I sing songs from the Howling Sea.
If you're wondering what on earth you just witnessed, you've been watching a video from the Songs from the Howling Sea podcast. Each week I release a song and a video about a person or a subject from London's East End. 52 songs in 52 weeks. For more, visit www.songsfromthehowlingsea.com.